Welcome to the Workamper Show, a podcast devoted to helping you discover how to finance your RV travel dreams. I'm Steve Anderson, the president of Workamper News. Each one of our episodes will either introduce you to people who are already living the RV lifestyle or to opportunities to work short-term jobs. You'll also learn how to hit the road the right way and make the most of every opportunity. Now let's turn over today's show to your host, Greg Gerber.
Thanks, Steve. Today I'll be interviewing a couple of former police officers who found a new life in traveling and work camping around the country. Today's episode is sponsored by Workamper News. With its Diamond and Platinum membership tools, Workamper News is much more than just a job listing website. When you put the tools of this professional service into action, you'll find out just how easy it can be to turn your work camping dreams into reality. The one-year memberships open the door to a one-stop shop for all things work camping. Being the original resource for work camping, you'll find the largest number of job listings, be able to connect with the community of work campers, and view resources compiled by experts who have been enjoying the RV lifestyle for many years. If you're serious about leading a successful and enjoyable work camping lifestyle, then a Diamond or Platinum membership is for you. You can even get started with a free 30-day trial by visiting www.workamper.com/trial. Embark on new adventures today with the support of Workamper News behind you. Hakam Salahuddin, who goes by the nickname Sal, is a Wisconsin native who first joined the Navy in 1990 and became a police officer after he retired from the service in 2012. But 4 years ago, he gave up his law enforcement career to start full-time RVing in a 23-foot Airstream. His partner, Rebecca Bailey, is from Chicago, which is about 90 minutes south of Milwaukee. She too was in law enforcement, working as a detective in South Carolina, where she met Sal. Together, they've been work camping ever since they embarked on their travel adventure. They primarily serve as campground hosts, however, they have also worked at a beet harvest and helped out at an Amazon warehouse. They were attracted to the travel lifestyle because their lives had become way too routine. After their children left the nest, they decided it was their turn to have a little fun. Of all the work camping jobs they've had, being a campground host is by far their favorite. It's relatively easy work. The jobs give them plenty of time to pursue other activities they enjoy, like mountain biking and hiking. But the best benefit is the people they've met on the job, including employers, fellow work campers, and other RVers. Some have become very close friends. The couple provides an honest review of their experiences working at Amazon. It can be difficult work, walking, bending, and standing all day, but the job pays very well and helps keep them fit and trim. That's why so many people love Amazon as a short-term gig to earn lots of money to pay for other recreation opportunities during the rest of the year. Sal and Rebecca also developed an appreciation for what farmers have to endure after working a beet harvest one season. Most people just go to the grocery store and have no idea where food comes from. The couple describes shoveling and bagging sugar beets in all kinds of weather to prepare them for transportation to factories where the beets become raw sugar. To tell us more about their story and describe what they typically do as work campers, and describe how they formed the Tin Can Travelers group, please welcome Hakam Salahuddin and Rebecca Bailey to the show. Thanks for joining me today, Rebecca and Hakam. I really appreciate your time. Tell us a little bit about yourselves, like where you're from and where you are right now.
Hakam, I am from Milwaukee, Wisconsin, originally, and joined the Navy back in 1990 and then traveled all around the world, and then retired in 2012. And then embarked on this journey after doing some law enforcement in Charleston City, South Carolina. And we travel in an Airstream, 23-footer, and been enjoying it for the last 4 years.
Mm-hmm. And I am Rebecca Bailey, originally from Chicago, Illinois. Spent the last about 20 years in South Carolina, and retired as a police officer. Spent a good portion of my career in the Detective Bureau, assigned to the Special Victims Unit. And like my husband, Hakam, we got to a point about 4 years ago where we decided we were going to embark on a journey to travel the U.S. and our Airstream because we'd always wanted to travel but never could. So that's what we're doing now.
That's neat. And so have you been work camping this entire time, or is this something new for you?
No, we have been work camping pretty much since the beginning. April of 2018 is when we hit the road, and shortly thereafter we began work camping.
What kind of jobs have you been doing?
We started out with Amazon doing the Camper Force peak season in 2018. Started that in Tennessee, Murfreesboro. And then we got into camp hosting. And we had never seen the West Coast and California. And so we decided that looks like a good gig to do. And so we started camp hosting in 2019 and have been doing that up until present. And every year we went back to Camper Force for the peak season. And then we threw the beet harvest in there and did North Dakota. So we have a variety of little jobs that we do.
Oh, that's very interesting. What attracted you to this lifestyle?
Primarily the traveling. Being in the grind like we were, like most people are, the 9 to 5, sometimes 6 days a week, and days off consumed by household chores and, errands and stuff like that. We had always just wanted to travel and just never got to the point where we could, anything significant anyways. And when we got to the point in our careers where we could retire and make this change, kids were grown, flew the nest, they're off doing their own thing. It was just us. We decided we were going to be selfish, and so we sold the house and we said, let's go travel. And then, of course, we had to decide how we were going to go about that, and we couldn't think of a better way other than an RV.
Yeah, and the work camping side of it definitely it helps, finance the travels that we're doing without dipping into our savings. So it's a win-win.
That's nice. So most of the positions that you've had have been paid, right?
Absolutely. Yeah. We haven't done any volunteer work, not that we are opposed to that. We definitely would, but as of, right now, they've always been paid positions. It's what we've always looked for. Free place to stay with full hookups for the RV. You get paid while you're working. And the great thing about work camping is there are opportunities all across the U.S. So it's a great way to get into some of those areas you really want to explore and visit. So you get there, you have a free place to stay, you get paid for working, and you get to, go out and explore the area you really want to be in. So it works really well.
It's a win-win, isn't it?
It is, for sure, for sure.
Of the jobs that you cited, were any of them like really favorites?
For me, I would say probably camp hosting. I probably prefer that over the others. I should clarify, I didn't work the beet harvest with Sal. He did that by himself. They're rather long shifts, so we didn't want to leave our dogs home alone for 12 hours a day. So he went ahead and did that. So I don't think that's his favorite of them, but I'll let him answer that. But mine would be camp hosting.
Yeah, I would have to agree with what Rebecca said, is that the camp hosting, because it has allowed us to stay in real scenic areas that we didn't know of existed prior to embarking on this journey. So, and we got into a lot of different things like mountain biking and hiking and camping. So the camp hosting side of it has introduced us to a whole different lifestyle. So I enjoy it as well.
You get to meet a lot of people doing that too.
Oh gosh, you meet so many people from so many different walks of life with so many stories and histories, and it's really interesting just the array of people you meet. I mean, it's just with a change of scenery and you're, sometimes it's bittersweet because you meet people and you really, form this bond, and then the camping season is over and it's time to say goodbye, and you don't know if you're going to see them again. But we have made some lifelong friends since we've been on the road, and although we don't see them all the time, maybe once a year, if that, we still stay in contact with them, via phone. We just visited one of our friends in San Francisco not too long ago. So we've definitely met some great people and made some great friends.
And camp hosting allows you to form rather a good community, not only with the other work campers, but with the guests of the campground and the staff.
Those are some of the lifelong friends that we've made. They were campers. That's how we met them in one of the campgrounds that we were hosting at. And what started out as just us checking them in has led to, 3 years later, we're visiting them in San Francisco and they're putting us up in one of their apartments so that we can explore the city and hang out with them, So yeah, it's been a wonderful experience. And that's one of the things that we treasure the most. I mean, you get to see so many great places across the U.S., but the people, are lifelong.
Now that's a perk that most people don't even mention, is the friendships that you make and the opportunity to visit them in other parts of the country.
Yeah,
oh yeah,
absolutely.
And one of the other good things is that in doing the camp hosting, you are almost like a RVing ambassador to a lot of the new RVers, where you're teaching them how to level out an RV or dump their tanks, and so getting them eased into the lifestyle so that it's a better experience for them.
When you served as a camp host, what were some of the typical duties that you did every day?
So it just ranges. You have, what's in writing as far as when someone moves, you check in guests, you check them out. Sometimes there's a kiosk where you're collecting fees and selling firewood. You clean the campsites for the new arrivals coming in, meaning you could be shoveling out fire pits, raking the grounds, picking up micro trash, putting out fires. Unfortunately, there's some people leave burning. You have the great job of cleaning bathrooms, which is probably everyone's least favorite. But in addition to all those things, it's the other things that, like helping someone set up a tent. Somebody forgot a generator. Well, you can borrow ours. Helping someone level out their trailer. Everyone, has questions and wants to talk. And a lot of it has to do with learning the area that you're in, because people want to know what's around, getting out there on the trails. And, so it just ranges. I mean, it encompasses so many different things. So you have what's expected of you, and then you have the fun stuff, where you get to help somebody set up a tent and, possibly form that lifelong bond we were talking about just a few minutes ago.
In every camp hosting position, the area could require you to do more or less than what we were talking about. So the one thing is it's like almost soup to nuts than what we have been doing, from the initial checking in of the camper and to their leaving and getting ready for the next one.
I have not served as a camp host, but I would imagine that it would be an enjoyable experience because most people are friendly and laid back and looking to relax, although they might arrive a little haggard if they've had a bad travel day.
That happens every once in a while, but for the most part, you're right. Most campers are very relaxed, and that's because that's what they're coming here to do. Whether they're coming from a big city or somewhere else, they're looking to just get into nature, get into the woods, enjoy their fire and, their family, and that's what it's all about. So I would say 99.9% of the times we are encountering very nice, relaxed people.
What did you do for Amazon?
Oh, for Amazon, Amazon is one of those companies that you sign up and you sign up for the season, and then all of a sudden, once you get there, you find out what you're actually going to be doing. And some of the jobs that they have is pickers, packers, stowers. Then they have in-between jobs like doing inventory and things of that sort. So when we first started out in 2018, we were picking. And so that was the majority of the work that we did, basically filling orders where it was coming across over our handheld computers, and we would walk the 2 or 3 football field long warehouse and go in the bins and pick out these orders and put them in a tote, and then repeat the process until the tote was full, and then put it on the line. And so that is the typical thing that we had done during the peak season. But I also was able to one season do inventory, and that was a whole different ball game, where it was a lot of counting of small items and trying to bounce it against the computer, and if it wasn't right, recount again. So,
Well, that surprises me, because the Amazon warehouse that I toured, that was all robots that were running around, moving products to the pickers themselves, who were stationary. And the robots would come in, turn around, and back in, and you'd grab the product off the various bin, and the robot would go back to where it was supposed to go, and it just repeated the process. But you guys were like human robots, it sounds like.
Yes, those are the newer facilities that they are installing, the automated robots that do a lot of the moving of the bins to either the sorter that puts items in the bins, or the picker that pulls the item. But there's still facilities out there where you're walking, 12 to 14 miles a day and fulfilling orders.
Was that a problem, to walk that long or to stand that long?
Rebecca found it enjoyable.
Well, I have a love-hate relationship with Amazon. I love it because I think that it is great exercise, and if you're looking to make a quick buck in a short amount of time, Amazon is a great choice, because you're guaranteed your 40 hours, at least, we were, because that's what we signed up for. And then there's almost always mandatory overtime. You lose weight. I think it's a great source, or a great way to stay in shape while you're making money. Having said that, of course, people do need to be aware that if you are in one of those facilities where you're going to be that human robot, where you're walking around a 1 million+ square foot facility piecing together online orders, just know that you are going to be walking, I would venture to guess, anywhere between 15 and 20 miles a day. And, you're going to be traversing stairs, and a lot of it is on the first floor, which is sometimes concrete. So, after a while, you're going to start feeling it. Yeah.
But it'd be a great way to keep skinny, I would think.
Oh.
Well, that's my love part of, when, after about 4 or 5 weeks into, you're like, oh, what'd we get into? But one of the great things about work camping is we know that whatever job we take on, it is temporary for us, because, we do this so we can travel. So clearly we're moving all the time. So any work camping job we decide to take part in is going to be temporary. So when you have that mind frame, nothing is really that bad. I mean, we could stand on our head for 2 weeks if that's what was requested of us, right? Because there's an end to it. So, right. And knowing that makes everything easier, right? So,
and then one of the things, the newer locations where they have the automated robots, some people may not like to just stand in one area, bending and stooping and hitting buttons and things without being able to walk and stretch out. So, that is a different part that I experienced this year when I did, or last year when I did the fulfillment center. It was a flex center, and they did have the automated robots. And you're confined to an area, and you're bending and stooping and climbing steps, but you're not able to stretch out as much. So I didn't find that as something that I liked as much as walking the football field.
What was it like for you to work at the beet harvest?
Oh, the thing is that you get an appreciation for the farmers,
yes,
and where your food comes from, because probably 90% of the Americans, they just go to a grocery store and they have no connection with where these products come from. And it was to see the work ethic of the farmers, working early in the morning, late in the evening, and bringing product to be stored for the winter to make a product like sugar. It was interesting. and it gave me a more appreciation for the farmer and everything that it takes to go ahead and bring those things to market. But being out there, standing in one spot, shoveling mud that has been dumped after they dump their beets, and the cold weather, and sometimes it was hot weather. And depending on the weather, you could either work or you could not work. So the beet harvest was one of those things that, was kind of the year that I worked, it was up in the air. If it rained too much, we stayed home. If it was too hot, we stayed home. So it stretched the season out. Instead of the 14 days, it was a full 30 plus days, and
Wow.
we stayed extra so that we could finish the beet harvest itself.
Are you going to do it again this year?
No, we are going to go to the East Coast, South Carolina.
After here, we'll be heading to the East Coast to visit some family because we skipped the East Coast last year, or this year, I guess last year. Hitting up some of our yearly doctor's appointments and things like that. And then beyond that, we don't know. We typically don't plan too far out into the future because things usually evolve before we get to that point. But that's where we're going from here.
How do you typically find your work camping jobs?
Where do we find them? At the beginning, we still do. We still use Workamper.com, and I have a membership, and I see the hot jobs come across. But we've been lucky that when we started in 2018, we used specifically the Workamper.com and got some leads from there. And from those leads, now we have jobs that are consistent where they're asking us to come back. So it's not really looking for the jobs. It's basically the employer asking, hey, are you going to come back next year? So that's where we're at in our work camping. Or
staying with the same company and just moving to a new location like we did this year. Last year we were in Mammoth Lakes, California, and through a referral from the manager we worked for then, we obtained this job here. So there wasn't a formal process that we had to go through.
And then with Amazon, the Camper Force, they constantly are trying, they reach out to you to recruit you for the next peak season.
Right.
So that's been very easy.
You actually, with Amazon, once you work with them, they will reach out to anybody who's worked for them the previous year first before they open up positions to new hires. Correct.
Are you going to do that again this fall?
We are not going to do that this fall. We're going to go ahead, like we said, go to the East Coast and take care of some visiting family and some doctor's appointments, and then take it from there.
We're going to be disowned if we don't get back to the East Coast pretty soon.
Yeah.
We were really good about visiting once a year for our first 3 years. This last year, we didn't quite make it back there, and so we need to make a trip. We need to show our faces.
Didn't you say you had some children?
Yes, we do have children.
How many?
Yes, and they are between us 4. I have 2, and my son is in Hawaii. He's in the military, so that's where he's stationed. My daughter is in South Carolina on the East Coast. Sal's daughter is in Florida, and so is his son, just in different cities. So we can kill many birds with one stone by visiting the East Coast.
There you go. You said you traveled with some dogs too.
Oh, yeah.
We have 2. We have Richie, who is almost 5. Is he 5?
He's 5 in November.
And then we have Beefy, and she's actually my son's dog. But I guess when he got stationed over there, he found out that Hawaii has a statewide ban on pit bulls. Beefy is a pit bull mix.
Oh.
So she wasn't able to go, and so he reached out to us and asked if we would babysit for 3 years.
And she's been an awesome addition to our family.
Oh, man, she's a very good girl. Yeah, they're both great dogs. We love them. Can't imagine doing this without them.
They are very
So we're
lovable.
traveling.
Yes.
So we're traveling with 2 70-pound dogs and a 23-foot Airstream. So space is at a premium, but Beefy is a love bug, so she just snuggles into the smallest locations that she can get into, and it's been great traveling with the dogs because they get you out. You'll get to a location and they want to explore it just as much as you do, and the walks really help for them to know the area and you to get to know the area as well.
It'd be a real challenge, I would think, to snuggle with them in bed. Those would be some big animals.
Oh no, there's no problem there at all. See, Sal just gets kicked out of the bed. He has to convert the dinette into a bed. And then Richie is not a snuggler. He's the one he's brown and he's really soft and fluffy looking, and you would just think he's such a snuggler, but he's not. Beefy, the pit bull, who is nothing but muscle, she's the snuggler. So it's like hugging a rock. But nonetheless, I cannot deny her Sal's face in bed. So she has taken over Sal's spot.
That's funny. Have you folks faced any challenges, either in work camping or in the RV experience?
As far as challenges with the RVing goes, I would say that our biggest challenge is probably consistent quality health care. When you are stationary, when you live in a sticks and bricks or whatever you live in, as long as it's stationary, you find a doctor, you like the doctor, so you keep that doctor and you keep going back to him or her. They know you, they know your ailments, you're not in constant search of a good doctor. And when you are on the road, that is not as much the case, unfortunately. So we still have to have our yearly checkups. We still have to go to the dentist, and sometimes you run into good doctors and other times not so much. So if there was one thing I could change about full-time RVing, it would probably be that. All of our doctors are on the East Coast in South Carolina, where we came from. And like I said earlier, we have been pretty good about making a yearly visit, getting those doctor appointments knocked out and visiting family, except for this last year. So for the first time, we had to find new doctors for various things. And, it was a challenge because it's just not the same as going to someone who already knows you.
Yeah, and then when you start looking at vet care, because our dog Beefy, she was diagnosed with cancer back in last August of last year. And just trying to get the chemo and the treatment as far as when you're changing locations and getting that consistent care. And Richie has also been he has his own little ailments with his little hips and his own personal problems that require vet care, and that can get tricky when you're trying to get them seen and get these things taken care of, and you have to go through several different vets in different locations. That can be difficult as well.
I understand that. I've heard from several people that have faced similar challenges. But they've told me that they've been trying this thing called telemedicine that some clinics are offering now, so that you can just call up either by phone or video and talk with the doctor. Have you tried that?
No, we have not.
No, I have a thyroid issue, so I take medication for that. So I have to see an endocrinologist, and mine has always been on the East Coast, and he's a wonderful doctor and everything. And I've always gone back to see him except for this last year. So this last year has been a little challenging. That's just one of the things that we probably dislike the most about full-time RVing. And like you said, with Richie and Beefy both. Beefy's in remission, by the way, so that's great. She's several months now cancer-free, but she still has to see an oncologist once every 6 to 8 weeks to make sure that she doesn't come out of remission. Mm-hmm. And every time we change locations, I have to find a new oncologist for her. And that's hard too, because sometimes you come across really good ones and you don't want to leave, and you sometimes wonder, are we being selfish? Mm-hmm. So sometimes there's a bit of a moral struggle with the lifestyle that we're living. But having said that, the flip side for her as well is not getting to visit all these places either. And they love it. They get to try a new trail, all the time, almost every day, and new smells and new animals. And they're having as much of a good time as we are.
And Greg, one of the things that we experienced during the this COVID period is our truck. It's something that we had never experienced before, and we had a transmission problem on our truck, and we had found that it was the scheduling of a repair was so hard because of the shortage of technicians. And when you're pulling your home with a vehicle or you're driving your home, if you have any problems with that mode of transportation, now you have to try to find a place for an extended period of time close to a location to get it repaired. And we were lucky. It was a 6-month ordeal to try to arrange it, but that was one of the things that we hadn't experienced until that point, but found that it can throw a wrench in the program if you do have a mechanical issue.
That doesn't sound like it'd be very pleasant at all, but you were able to resolve it favorably?
Oh, yeah.
It was actually ended up being a warranty issue, and it wasn't as big of a deal as it could have been, I guess. But the main issue was just trying to find a shop that we could get the vehicle into and have it looked at as soon as possible. And this was not too long ago. And like Sal said, there was just such a shortage on help that there was such a wait list for cars to be seen and fixed. But, unfortunately, like Sal said, when you are pulling your home with a separate vehicle, you might not like the location you're in at the time, but guess what? That's going to be home until it's fixed. So we were stationary until we got our truck back. Yeah. And, we happened to be in Quartzsite at the time. And luckily, we got out of there before it got too hot.
Yeah.
but so if you're on a budget and you're looking at, well, I boondock or I dry camp or something like that, and you find out that, okay, well, now I have an issue where I need full hookups. I need some place that is dependable as far as electricity for AC and things. That, it can get hard if you're in a location that doesn't have that availability. But we were lucky to be in Quartzsite at the end of the season where a lot of those spots had opened up, and we were able to stay stationary while the truck got repaired.
What are some of the places that are still on your bucket list where you'd really like to go and explore?
We don't have many left,
No.
if we're being honest. I would have to say probably some of the New England states I would like to get up into, and possibly Alaska. Honestly, I'm kind of torn about Alaska. I thought Alaska was on my bucket list, but I got to the point where I think I figured out that maybe it's just on my bucket list because I think it's on everyone else's. I don't know what the true draw is. So we'll see about Alaska, but definitely some of the New England states.
Alaska's spectacularly beautiful, with the Kodak moment just around every corner. Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
But it is a long drive
to get there.
Yeah. And I think you have to time it right? Because we don't want to go when it's too cold.
Yeah, exactly. Is there any advice you would give to people who are considering becoming a work camper?
Yes.
Yeah. Do your homework.
Definitely do your homework. And for many reasons. One of the mistakes we made when we first looked at being work campers was we were camp hosts at Mammoth Lakes and Coldwater Creek Campground, which is over 9,000 feet in elevation. And we had very little, if none, cell phone reception and internet.
Beautiful location.
Yeah, beautiful location, but we didn't take that into consideration. We probably failed to ask the question. So while it was nice when we first got there to kind of be off grid and not hear the dinging and pinging on your phone all the time, after about a month, it kind of became a pain when you realize you have to drive down the mountain just to make a phone call. Or to get on the internet, or really to have any communication with the outside world. Climate. The higher in elevation you go, you need to remember that it gets cold and it snows when you think it should not, like in July and September sometimes, so, you need to consider that as well. And the details about any job that you're considering, whether or not it has full hookups, meaning water, electricity, and sewer. That's not always that information isn't always provided to you up front. So ask the question. These things matter when it comes to convenience, especially when you're going to be in a certain location for several months at a time. You want it to be as convenient for you as possible.
So doing your homework and investigating the job that you're looking at for work camping, and even maybe going out in some of the Facebook groups and asking questions about who has worked there, or looking at workamper.com and looking at the comments that previous work campers experienced. Because, these jobs do have requirements, and the more you know about the requirements, then you know if you can meet them satisfactorily. And if you can't, then you move on to the next one. But the worst thing to do is to get to a location and, you've put all of your energy in finding that one thing, and all of a sudden you get there and it's not what you expected because you didn't do your homework and find out what was the requirements or where it was located and things of that sort.
Yeah, a good example of that would be like, Amazon. And while if you're, looking over the requirements, physical requirements anyways, for working at, let's say, an Amazon facility where the robot is not coming to you, but you are walking 15, 20 miles a day, you really have to be aware of what your physical limitations are. We saw, many times people hired on with us, and then 3-4 weeks later they're not around because they weren't meeting the quota that was set for them.
Yeah.
So same thing with camp hosting as well. I mean, you have to shovel out fire pits, you have to rake sites, so you're moving logs, and so there are physical requirements to at least all of the jobs that we've worked so far. Just know what they are and be honest with yourself and know whether or not you can meet them. And if not, find something that you can, because there's lots of jobs out there.
That's great insight, guys. I really appreciate that. I understand that you are combining some of these things that you've learned into a website and some videos with a group that you've created called Tin Can Travelers. Tell us a little bit about that.
Yeah, we are the Tin Can Travelers. We have a website. We'll put up a post every once in a while, something that we want to write about. We, not too long ago, started our YouTube channel, the Tin Can Travelers. So we started making videos of some of our experiences and some of the topics that we feel are important to talk about to people who are either in the lifestyle or thinking about embarking on the lifestyle, things that we wish we knew before we hit the road. So between, the website and our YouTube channel, we also have a Facebook account and an Instagram as well. We kind of share and, share information with, all of our followers, and we learn things from our followers too. It is a good community. Yeah. I mean, the one thing about full-time travelers, if they have social media accounts, there's a lot of information to be had out there. You can give it and you can get it, and people are generally very, very nice, and you can send direct messages. And if anyone sends us messages or emails, we answer them. And
if we can't answer them, we try to point them in the right direction so that they can get a quality answer about their question.
Yeah.
Quality answers are important because there are a lot of people out there who are self-described experts who've read a couple of books, who think they know all the answers. And so having somebody who's been doing it for many years has got to be a good resource for people to look at.
Oh, yeah.
Yeah. Well, we hope that, we provide good information for people who are thinking about, we just try to keep, we try to remember when we started off some of the things that we didn't know. A lot of people think you're supposed to know certain things, and you just don't. There's so much that goes into deciding, about hitting the road, that you're going to miss stuff and you're going to make mistakes, and you're going to, if I had only done this, or if I'd only known that, or whatever the case may be. So if in any way we can help alleviate some of that for somebody, then, we're there.
We're constantly learning as well.
Oh, heck yeah.
From so many of the, the experienced campers and full-time RVers that are out there. And so we're definitely not experts to the point where we can't learn anything new. We're definitely learning every day from people.
That's a very good point, Rebecca, because when you're new to this, sometimes you're so new you don't even know what questions to ask. So
Correct.
don't be afraid to ask people questions because every one of us have been through there.
Absolutely. Absolutely. Yep.
Well, this has been fascinating, guys. I really appreciate the time. It sounds like you're having a heck of an experience out there on the road, and I wish you the best of luck in the future.
Oh, thank you. Yeah, thank you for inviting us on your podcast. We appreciate it very much.
Thank you very much, Greg.
I appreciate Hakam Salahuddin and Rebecca Bailey for taking time to talk to us today and describe their RVing and work camping experiences. I like how, as a campground host, Sal sees himself more as a camping ambassador in greeting guests and helping new campers and RVers get a good start on their experiences. By easing them into a travel lifestyle, it creates a much more enjoyable experience for everyone. Rebecca likes to help people make the most of whatever time they have to spend in an area, so she gets to know where the fun, out-of-the-way things to do can be found, and then she shares those with other guests. When it comes to finding work camping jobs, Sal and Rebecca typically don't plan too far in advance. They haven't had problems finding positions. This fall, the couple is planning to head to the East Coast to do some family things and check in with their doctors and dentists. The only really big challenge they faced is getting service work done on their truck due to a lack of technicians. Like RV service, sometimes there's a wait list to get trucks and cars repaired as well. The couple also encourages work campers to do their homework before accepting a job. For example, will they be able to get cell phone signals or have internet service in the area they'll be living for 6 months? Also, be sure you understand what employers consider to be a full hookup campsite, because sometimes it may differ from your expectations. Sal and Rebecca started a website for other people traveling in an Airstream. Called the Tin Can Travelers, it connects people with one another and describes work camping jobs they've held over the years. They've also produced a variety of videos describing things to do in areas they visit, as well as offer tips on improving the travel lifestyle. You can connect to Sal and Rebecca and view all their blog posts and videos by visiting www.thetincantravelers.com. I know they have lots of adventures still left on their bucket list, so I wish Sal and Rebecca the best of luck for a fun and memorable work camping experience. Today's episode was sponsored by The Dreamer's Journey. It's an online course and community produced by Workamper News. Life is way too short to keep your dreams on hold, so don't be held back by fear because you were designed for more. Get started in the RV lifestyle the right way with this comprehensive guide. For just $29.95 for 1 year of access, Dreamers have unlimited viewing of 50-plus videos to learn things like what type of RV to buy, goal setting, how to budget for the adventure, developing a positive mindset, setting up a domicile, and operating a small business on the road, plus everything about work camping and how to find the right job for you. Each video is 30 to 90 minutes long to give in-depth coverage on each topic. There's no wrong time to get started, so for more information, visit www.rvdreamersjourney.com. That's all I have for this week's show. Next time I'll be speaking with an employer who will describe an outstanding way for work campers to truly experience all that Yellowstone National Park has to offer. I'll have details on the next episode of The Workamper Show. Thanks for listening.